This is Shomaru Touge. It is a narrow and winding road carved out of a mountainside in Japan. And the goal today is to drift this Saleen reimagined F150 down the downhill and stay off the walls as much as humanly possible. For some specs on the truck, well, for starters, it has a 5.4 liter supercharged V8 with a 6-speed manual transmission pumping out about 500 wheel horsepower. For the suspension, it has a custom angle kit that I made that gives the truck around 55 degrees of steering angle at lock, which, given the wheelbase of this vehicle, feels like 65-70 degrees of steering lock would in a normal sized car. The rear suspension is my own custom 4-link setup for the solid axle with around 10% static anti-squat. Although the truck has 500 wheel horsepower, the weight of it, which is around 5,100 pounds or 2,200 kilograms, makes it feel a lot closer to a 300 wheel horsepower car. So sometimes you have to wrestle the thing just to keep it in drift. You can find a link to the truck in the description below, which includes a street version along with the drift version. This track mod, however, is old. I think it originally came out in 2014, the same year the game was released. Visually, it's not the most pleasing track to look at. There are several issues like small holes that you can see right through the track, or certain things that should have faces on them on the front and the back that just don't. Like the guardrails, for example. Depending on where you're at, you can see right through them if you're looking far enough down the track ahead of you. But if you can get past the visual issues, this track is really fun to drive. It's a narrow track surface that forces you to be aware of how much angle you're using when you're trying to slide through the corners, and the offbeat flow of some of the corners keeps you on your toes, which is unlike the vast majority of drift track mods that are released now. Most tracks are so wide and the corners are all easy sweepers that flow into each other that it's almost mindless how you can just throw a big angle everywhere and not have a care in the world. I really appreciate the narrow challenge that this track offers, especially when you drive something as long and as wide as this truck is. There are even a few spots that are just about too narrow for the truck to fit with any angle at all. A link for the track can also be found in the description below. If there are any tracks you'd like to see me attempt to drift, leave them in the comments. I'm always looking for the next track to test my abilities on, and also if there's any cars that you'd like to see me drive and give my thoughts on, leave them down below as well. I've driven many of the Assetto Corsa drift mods that are out, and I've been thinking about making some videos to give my thoughts on them, on about how well they drive, and perhaps offer some tips on how to make them drive easier or better. I also have a link to my Discord server in the description. If you'd like to chat or see what kind of projects I'm currently working on, feel free to join the community. I try to regularly share photos of my current projects, and also links to all the cars I've released can be found in there as well.